YouTube, how's it going? The Downs is back. Today I got my top 10 receiver prospects for the NFL Draft. Might surprise some people with this one. Recently got done watching the film, and we've been doing this for every single position group here. Kind of just getting going. Will be a playlist full of them. We have plenty of NFL Draft content. Go to our channel, check out the recent videos. You won't be disappointed. It'll be live during day 1 of the NFL Draft here on YouTube, day 2 and 3 on Twitter. If you're looking for our Twitter, anything else, links pinned in the comments, along with our sponsors, which you see underneath me here. But let's get into it. Number 1 shouldn't be much of a surprise. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, to me, is clear-cut the number 1 receiver in the class. Probably would be... honestly, probably be considered like close to an elite prospect. If he had more of a sample size, not really so much that, but was healthier, last year, and then had a little bit better play on the outside, dealing with physical corners. So that's kind of what's holding him back from being an elite prospect. But he's that close. He's that good where it's kind of close. I shouldn't say that close, but yeah, to me, he's an instant impact slot receiver. He's going to make a huge impact from the slot. I think he could become more of an outside receiver because his footwork, his knowledge, his just talent overall is so good. But the change of direction skills, all going into it, the quickness, the twitchiness, just the footwork, it's all ridiculous. It's the best of the best in the class. And there's some receiver prospects in the past that maybe were better receiver prospects overall to him, but he might be better in those categories, and change of direction, the footwork. It's just ridiculous. And you see him constantly getting open because of it. The way he comes out of his breaks, it's absolutely ridiculous. Very smooth route runner. I've seen him read coverages. I've seen him sit down in soft zones, understanding what's happening. Love to see that. That's why he's an instant impact type of guy. Ohio State knows how to make the receivers too. He's behind some studs, obviously, when he got the chance to play even more in that Rose Bowl game at the end of, not this past season, the one before. He just went crazy, obviously, with the record-breaking performance. Very good hands, too. There's some guys with some drop issues in this class, and I think he can block. He puts himself in front of some defensive backs when he needs to. But, yeah, maybe why pass on him? Yeah, a little limited reps. He's not like a burner, like deep, burner. He's more quick than fast. I'm not expecting too much action on the outside. So if a team's just like, we need an outside guy, like maybe you don't take him, hamstring injury. Sometimes the hamstrings keep popping up, but that's usually if you're older. He's young. All these guys are young, right? So the negatives really, there's not too many big ones there. So smart receiver, big-time separator, very quick and twitchy. That's receiver 1. Receiver 2, I actually have Jalin Hyatt at 2, which probably is not a common opinion, but I like Jalin Hyatt a lot. I like his upside. He just got going this year, and we're going to see more of that moving forward. Round 1 grade for me. I think where people kind of get fooled a little bit, they think, because like he was a big time player in the deep part of the field, like the deep ball and, racking up big time yards and plays that way, that's really all he is. I think people are mistaken on that, that he does need to add more to his game, but there's more, there's more than that, than just the deep ball that he can do. We've seen him give him plays underneath. You've seen him get, it could work the middle of the field a little bit more, but I've seen it. Obviously, he can hit the post, not just the go. Seen the comebacks quite a bit in the Tennessee offense, the screen passes. I think where people are mistaken as well is that since he's a very thin frame, that he's not good after the catch. He's pretty tough after the catch from what I've seen. He's not going to break a ton of tackles, but we've seen some impressive plays after the catch. And then people think, he's thin, he probably can't block that well. He actually is a pretty decent blocker. Believe it or not, from what I've seen, he's a pretty decent blocker. So he's got a lot to his game. I like that he played in the slot. You can plug him in the slot right away. He kind of gets the outside ability to burn people, so it gives you the feel that he could play outside. So I feel like he'll be versatile on where he can play. And he just, so he plays bigger than he looks. So I kind of got to that, but he just had dominant moments. And when I see dominance, that's good. Obviously it's a good feeling to see that from a guy. Looking at the Bama game, to get 5 touchdowns, it's more than about the stats. But, Bama is a good team, obviously, smart team. He was obviously part of their plan going into that game, and he was most certainly during the game. How do we stop this guy? We got to focus on this guy because this guy keeps getting open. We know what he can do, but he's still beating us. They're probably putting more guys on him, more guys over the top. He's still beating them and racking up 5 touchdowns and help winning that game. That is pure dominance, more than just stats, more like just knowing that is the guy that they have to stop and they can't stop him. It's just seeing that he's not Justin Jefferson at all, but because Justin Jefferson is Justin Jefferson. But remember that game against Oklahoma where he had the 4 touchdowns? Like there's just pure dominance. They can't deal with him. Kind of some similarities there. Well, and with Jefferson's kind of a lean guy, way tougher than he looks. Like he'll break tackles. Way tougher than he looks. He's a little bit more built than Hyatt, but I guess some similarities there. Not that he's going to be Justin Jefferson, but he's a lot tougher than he looks too. He played slot receiver on the numbers, which was why a wide split offense. They really just split the receivers. So that's a little different, than what the NFL is going to, how they're going to run their offense. So is he going to be playing slot, in like your traditional slot spot? Is he going to transition more outside? How is he going to do out there against physical corners? Like he's fast enough to beat them. But so I guess it's a little bit of a mystery. It's a little bit of a risk, I suppose, because it might be different to him. So that's kind of the downside with Jalin Hyatt. But there is way more to his game than where people are giving him credit for. And he has that dominance factor. Here's a guy that I keep moving up, actually. I originally had somebody else here, and I actually originally had Addison at 5, but I kept watching more and more of the Pittsburgh years, and I kept moving him up. He's actually closer to being 2 than 4 right now, and it's funny because I, not too long ago I had him at 4 or 5 range, but yeah. I love the inside-outside versatility. Upside is a slot. I think he can dominate the slot in the NFL, and he can be a good outside receiver. That was kind of the issue because this year at USC he played outside, and it was like you kind of get the feel that he's more of an inside guy and he could be better there, but can he do it? But he has that on his tape. You go back and watch the Pittsburgh tape. He was dominant there. So, and he was very effective for USC. So you have 2 different teams, 2 different systems, 2 different roles, super effective in both roles. The ball player, the guy can play ball, So I think it's a very safe pick. He can run routes. Again, the versatility of playing both sides there, consistent separator. He's dominant on the in-breaker routes. I mean, you'll know it's coming, and he's just hitting the in-breakers, and it's touchdown or just a free first down. He's so quick and just explosive off the line. So teams that run a lot of those, slants over the middle, they'll love him. And what I love is he can make plays all over the field. I mean, maybe too many screen passes, but the screen passes he can make it on the side, make the plays on the sideline, underneath, downfield, over the middle of the field. We talk about the in-breakers everywhere on the field. Some of these guys are limited to certain spots. He does play more on one side, but he can make plays all over the field. He's not just finishing his routes or with the ball, yards after the catch on one side of the field. But some guys do that for some reason. Pretty good athlete as well. Pass drop issues, which it was only 2 in 2022, so that was interesting. But he did have some bad drops in the past. So the Pittsburgh tape's better, but then also had more drops. But he cleaned it up this year, so I like that. Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge negative that he's mainly an outside guy this year, better as a slot, but I think he can play both. Not like a super physical catcher. He's not really going to go, I mean, he'll have some big plays, but he's not going to go, snatch it away from a corner or anything like that or body him up. Mainly was kind of stuck on the right side, but there's guys where I have that issue where they're stuck on one side because those guys, for some reason, end up on that side too, like after the play, but Addison end up all over the field. So liking Addison more and more. More I watch, I'm done watching now, but the more and more I watched Pittsburgh, and the thought of it, I keep on moving. Could I move up to 2 right before the draft? It's a possibility actually, because I'm just the thought of him is I like it more and more here. Number 4, which I'm going to be higher on than probably everyone too. Josh Downs, I like a lot. He is on the smaller size, 5'9", 171. If he was like 5'11", 6 feet tall, I think we'd be talking about him being the first receiver taken maybe. Extremely productive in the slot, so another one of those dominant slot receivers. Freak athlete. I mean, speed, jumping, explosiveness, great footwork. You see, just kind of juke guys out, corners out while running routes because of his feet. He's getting separation, has that home run ability down the field. Very underrated contested catcher. I think people just think he's 5'9", he's small, he's a separator, he's speedy. He's not a contested catcher. He could catch a ball over a corner. He'll go up and he'll catch it. He's a better contested catcher than some big guys and the 6'3" guys in this draft. So that's why I like him so much, because he kind of can almost do it all. He's just and there's kind of some plays where you come up limping, you end up being fine, but I saw a lot of those where he's kind of like, some of those players in the NFL were like you always think they're hurt and all of a sudden they're fine. So I saw that a little bit. Very undersized though, likely strictly a slot receiver. Like Jaxon Smith-Njigba, like you probably can put him outside maybe. Hyatt, you're definitely going to be able to put him outside. Downs is probably a slot, just a slot receiver. So it's not going to be for everyone and definitely could improve as a blocker. But there's a lot to his game. And people by looking at him, by, not watching enough maybe, you might not think he's a contested catcher, but he is. And then number 5 for me is going to be Zay Flowers, who's almost in the same boat with Downs. Flowers actually played a lot outside, but he also played inside. So I do very similar to Addison, where we talk about the inside-outside versatility, like it that they have both experience with both. That's great. But he's, he'll probably play more in the slot in the NFL. He played a little bit more outside in college. He'll probably have to play a lot more in the slot in the NFL, which he'll be good there. So that's the good, but kind of. Taking some things away from the college tape, where will he be able to handle the physical corners on the outside is kind of the question. But I do think he has a lot of upside in the slot. I think he's got good tracking ability, the way he tracks the ball. He's great after the catch, the vision, but you can slip a tackle or two as well. Solid footwork with his routes, quick and fast, kind of has both going for him. I mean, Downs did as well. And the difference between him and Downs for me is, and they both are pretty solid contested catchers. I think Downs will get up there a little bit better maybe, but Flowers had some circus catches too. More circus-like, Downs more contested-like. We had to jump over somebody almost, moss somebody. But they're both going to end up slot receivers in the NFL. Downs is a little more polished in that category, and Downs catches the ball better than Flowers. So that is my slight difference between the two there. Downs would have a way better quarterback though. Flowers was running wide open at times. And actually, they would get seen most of the time. They would just miss the throw. The couple quarterbacks at Boston College, they went through a couple this year. But it did have 9 drops, though. Even though the quarterback missed them sometimes. Sometimes he would let the quarterback down. He would drop the ball. 9's a lot. That is a lot, 2022. But a big-time player. And he can make some crazy catches at times. More outside snaps. Might need to play inside. Like that might have been an issue for Addison looking at this year. But then you got to go back, and he just played way more in the slot in the past, and he was dominant in the slot. It's not a huge negative because I think Flowers can be really good in the slot, and he could still play outside here and there, so I do like that. He does have very short arms compared to what you're looking for, compared to some of these other guys. I mean, Downs has got longer arms. That's another thing, too, the difference. And he is the same height, maybe a tiny bit lighter. Could improve over the middle of the field. It just seems like he's, especially under, you'd think you'd get him going more underneath in the middle of the field. That was surprised me. That's just the Boston College offense type thing. But I think you would see a little bit more. But I do love his upside on the inside, and I like how he has the versatility here on both. But next, and this is where I might surprise some people again, but number 6, I got Cedric Tillman, who I'm continuing to watch, and the more and more I watch him, the more I freaking like this guy. I would not be against taking him in the first round. I'll say that. No one else is really saying that. And I potentially could move him up because I keep watching more and more of him. I'm going back to 2021 because he was absolutely dominant in 2021. This year he had an ankle injury right off the bat. Right away, he kind of was playing through it. Then he had surgery during the season, and he actually came back on the surgery and played. He was pretty good. He wasn't the same the 2021 year, but he was pretty damn good still. So that's like the toughness, and then he's still that talented. The issue is the injury did affect him because he was better in 2021. Is this? I don't think so. But is that what we're gonna get? The 2022 Tillman with that injury? Is he not the same? I don't think so. I think just he was playing on it injured. He had surgery. He played on it. He was forcing things. You can see it. Off season, young. I think he'd bounce back from that. But he is a monster contested catcher. Has super strong hands, but a monster traffic catcher. Contested traffic, somewhat similar, but sometimes he's running over the middle of the field, and there'll be like 3 guys around him. And Hooker makes a pretty good throw, risky throw, tight window, and he just sticks his hands out and takes it before. I mean, the strong hands. I see it constantly. I love that. He'll go up. He had a South Carolina game, which was disappointing in 2022 at the end there for Tennessee, but he had a touchdown. People would say, I don't like the term garbage time, but people would say garbage time at the end, but it was very, very tight defense. They were going at it. It was a monster moss in the corner. Very difficult to get your feet down to. I mean, he has a big George Pickens ability. This is kind of the George Pickens of this draft. And people say, I think people are basing the stats off the stats this year too much. Go back, watch 2020. Maybe people say he's not the fastest or the twitchiest guy. He could get more separation, but he actually Hooker had some misses this year where Tillman actually got some good separation. He's a little more twitchy than you think. He can hit the double move. He actually can burn some guys. So that's where people aren't giving enough credit. He is dominant on the comeback routes, like the chain movers, coming back to the ball and just getting just past the sticks. He is really good on those. His comebacks, really good. He's not going to like torch anybody. He's not super smooth and speedy, but he's underrated in those categories. The injury, I guess we'll monitor that, but it feels like Pickens to me. It feels like another George Pickens. This is like your traditional X receiver. These are the types of guys that these were the best receivers in the NFL for a bit. Now it's, if this was like 5 to 10 years ago, probably be the number one receiver in his class. Now it's like the smaller, shifty footwork kings, So I like me some Cedric Tillman. And we could compare to Quentin Johnston. Maybe we'll do a little bit because they're both the 6'3" big body guys. Maybe we'll do a little bit more when we get the Johnston here. But Mingo I have at 7, which I've been hyping him up a bit. I'm a big Jonathan Mingo fan from Ole Miss. Super strong hands, kind of like Tillman. Not going to drop much. Seen him make one-handed catches in traffic. Really good after the catch too, which Tillman is pretty decent, underrated after the catch, pretty physical. Mingo's really good after the catch, physical, will juke you out, get that wiggle, can block very, very well. Jonathan Mingo played in the slot, played out wide, played tight end, played in the backfield, played like an H-back type situation, played everywhere. So you like that. You may say, well, he was lacking production. That's kind of the negative, lacking consistent production. Yeah, we wish he showed up a little bit more. If you watch the tape, Ole Miss played him everywhere. Like I mentioned, like in the wing, tight end. His sole responsibility was to block. Why? Because he was a damn good blocker, like probably their best blocker other than offensive lineman. So they needed him there with their weird offense. So that's why he didn't have more production. So he'll have more production if he's playing more wide receiver in the NFL. It's kind of a bonus that you can move around and play different spots. He's a really good route runner. He's big. He's 6'2". He's very athletic. The testing at the combine was great. The on-field drills at the combine were great. He's smooth getting out of his breaks. Kind of like a total package receiver. We just haven't really seen enough of him playing like a full-time receiver. That's kind of resulting in the lacking of production. So Mingo's very underrated. I wouldn't blow my mind if he snuck in the late first round. It'd blow a lot of people's minds, but probably a second-round pick. Quentin Johnston, TCU receiver. As you can tell, I'm lower on him than. This doesn't mean I don't think he's good. I think he's a phenomenal player with a lot of upside. Really good football player, obviously. But most people have him at 1. They have him at 1, and I'm not there. It's this big. What you love about him is he's an incredible athlete for his size. 6'3", he can run, freaky dude, big playability, the yards after the catch, the stop and go, the making people miss, can slip some tackles. We've seen it in Michigan, when Michigan's starting to come back, he hits that drag and goes. Just big playability. I think maybe people are falling in love with that a little too much because there's a lot more to it in the NFL. It gets a lot more technical. He's very limited with his routes. And they stuck him on the left side of the field, and he ran his routes to the left side of the field, except when they ran that drag, which they run a ton of, which is just scheming him wide open underneath everything. And that's where you come across the field, uses crazy athletic ability. That's great if an NFL team can get that going. But yeah, I'm gonna have to separate a little bit better. He doesn't really look smooth with his footwork when he tries to hit the double move. It hurts my knees, when watching him sometimes. It's not like, it's not super fluid. He could work on that, could get better on that. He can make big catches, but he isn't the best contested catcher, mainly because he doesn't high point the ball. More and more I watch tape, because I loved him. I still like him. He's great, but more and more I watch tape, I saw more of high point catches like this. And NFL DBs are going to take the ball away there. And sometimes he would catch those balls like that. Sometimes it would actually bounce off his body and come out. Sometimes he would body catch the underneath balls as well. So I don't love that, either. So this is an upside guy. This is a guy that you take that freakish size, athleticism, and you got to work with some things. We got to move him from left to right. We got to add more routes. The footwork, separation needs work. He's got to change his hands on high pointing the ball, use his hands. These are tough things to get out of a receiver, it seems. Like the best receivers in the NFL are usually pro ready. It's not like quarterback. It's not like other positions. But you can, I mean, there's good coaches. You can coach it, but he's actually turned out to be more of a boom or bust guy because of his, a little bit of a project. Even though you can get him involved right now, he's got to scheme things open for him. So I do have some issues there with him, and I'm a little surprised that so many people have him at 1. If you're projecting upside, I guess I understand. But again, look at the receivers in the NFL. It's a little different of a position when it comes to that. And I do think some of the people that have him at 1 are probably just either remembering those live games and him kind of, making that big play, that schemed open plays, or maybe just watching the highlights, things like that. But the 2 6'3" guys, looking at Tillman versus Johnston, they're both 6'3". They're both got pretty good frames, pretty good builds. Tillman's got that elite build. I mean, Johnston's not too far out, but Tillman's got that elite, build to him, star X receiver type build. But, both 6'3". You say, maybe some people say Johnston was more productive. Well, Tillman was playing hurt this year, missed some games, had surgery. 2021 where he was healthy, he had the same production and some. 12 touchdowns, Johnston 6. That's the other thing with Johnston too. Why couldn't he get involved in the end zone? Because you usually don't scheme open those things around the end zone. It's just kind of raw talent, getting open in the end zone, making a play, high pointing the ball. So that was another thing on Johnston as well. Tillman was a touchdown machine when he was healthy that year. And he was just a better, him in 2021 versus Johnston in 2022, both healthy. Tillman was just a better receiver. Tillman high points the ball. He's got better hands. Johnston had some drops pop up as well. I should have put that on a negative. He has some negatives. I couldn't even list them all. That's the issue with Johnston. He had 8 or 9 drops this year, some routine ones, or the body catch would bounce out. Tillman's got better hands. So if we're comparing kind of the big body, build, traditional X receiver, 6'3" guys that had very similar stats on their healthy years, and maybe career stats pretty similar as well, more things are siding towards Tillman for me. Johnston's faster. He's better after the catch because he's faster. Tillman is underrated after the catch. He's very physical. He'll use that stiff arm too. He'll throw you. But more things are, to me, I keep running it back because everyone has Johnston so high. I see the upside. Tillman's just better to me in a similar style receiver. And then Tillman is kind of limited to the right side like Johnston the left side. So that's an interesting one. Johnston, a very good player. Love the upside. Freaky dude. I think he's more of a second-round pick and maybe a little bit more of a boomer bust guy in the second round even. Kayshon Boutee, people are sleeping on him all of a sudden, which I kind of was too. It's a good receiver. It's a ball player. People were forgetting because he had a bad combine, and he had a questionable season too. Some character issues. Didn't play super great this year. Dropped the ball a bit. Drops are kind of the concern. It's kind of the concern for Flowers and Johnston as well. Addison in the past. But Kayshon Boutee had very good production and experience in the slot and out wide. I love the inside-outside versatility that translates to the NFL. Solid footwork and routes. The way he comes out of his breaks. Very smooth, very, very smooth how he comes out of his breaks. He's a big playmaker. I mean, he's not going to go crazy high point the ball or anything like that, but he'll make the big time plays in the big time moments. He is great after the catch with his vision, his ability to shake people. He's the youngest of the group. He's the youngest of the receivers, and of course, upside doesn't really end up. Usually the more pro ready guys end up being the better receivers. I don't know why that is. It is what it is. No one ever gets tremendously better. So, but at 20, being 20, that helps because he's still young. Maybe it helps with the character concerns. He's still young. Maybe that helps with the 29-inch vertical, which was not good. Obviously, I can jump a lot higher than that, but he's still young. He's gonna get stronger, more explosive. That's just how it goes with these athletes. He's a former top recruit. Top recruit. The 2021 season was ridiculous. We thought first round lock. Then he a little off this year, some character issues, or more of the attitude, But maybe let's not focus on the combine too much. Could be a guy that played at LSU, had inside-outside versatility, really good after the catch. Jarvis Landry had a much, much worse combine, much worse testing. Could be a stat-style player there, actually. Pretty good comparison. I got Parker Washington at number 10, who I'm a fan of as well. A little bit of a risk of a pick because he would disappear at times because Penn State didn't really feature him a whole lot. It's kind of just be out there. We're going to go a different route. We're going to go a different option, which I didn't love that. I think it was more of a Penn State and a Clifford thing, in my opinion. But, you would like Parker Washington to be more of a – I think he could separate, though. More of a separator, more of a downfield guy. But he did have some flashy plays. He is a running back like after the catch. He has a running back lower body. He's keeps driving, breaks tackles. Could be like Debo in that category. He's not going to be as good as Debo Samuel talent-wise, but in that category. Strong hands. He's good. He's really good at going up and getting the ball. He's not super speedy, but he's quick and he can jump. So he is athletic. He can really jump, go up and make a big-time catch. So I love that. I love, make him into a Debo role. He doesn't have to be as good as Debo. Put him in that type of role. Can be a big-time player. I like that, because what stands out most is that he's after the catch, but there's some guys that are just after the catch guys, and that's why they don't really work out. I see some running or some natural receiver traits here. So I do like Parker Washington for that reason. More quick than fast, isn't a speedy burner. And would disappear at times. Maybe that was more so the Penn State offense. So I do like his upside. Other guys tough to leave off here. I mean, Tyler Scott. I know Tank Dell's got a pretty big fan base, which he's fun to watch. Has some drops. Very, very thin too. But Tyler Scott, Tyler Scott's like just missed. It's tough not having him like at 10. Boutee was a recent riser because I went back and watched the 2021 tape, and it's just raw talent there, But yeah, Twitter subs get more rankings and grades, round grades right now. Everyone will get all the rankings, more than just top 10. That'll be right before the draft. We have more content than just rankings. Go to our channel, check it out. Let me have it in the comments. I know these aren't your traditional rankings, but we've been pretty damn accurate with our rankings. So I just do what the tape's telling me here. So that is going to wrap it up, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.